Chris Domino's our good friend from Atlanta and our source for everything in Atlanta from the Fan in Atlanta 680. Chris, good to see you as always. What is it like seeing the Braves suffer through all these injuries and watch the Phillies doing what they're doing? Because it was always the Braves that were owning the division, the Braves that were the best team. And then they'd lose to the Phillies in the playoffs. And now the Phillies are better than the Braves, and the Braves have all these problems.
But think about this. They win the World Series in 2024 and do the 10-year reunion and talk about all the things that went wrong until they went right. It'll be a better story if they're able to do more than they've done the last couple of years. 2021, there was no expectation because they weren't a very good baseball team. They were a very good baseball team. They're talented now, but less talented. And we know Philadelphia is going to make a play. Scott, listen, I know you know the game of poker. My analogy is you're playing poker, but your hole cards are up because everybody knows you need a starting pitcher. They know you want a corner outfielder. Ozzie goes down, and all of a sudden you might want an infielder. You don't get to play the cat and mouse game that usually comes with poker. You don't get to bluff anybody. Everybody knows what it is you want. Fewer sellers than really ever before. So Alex Anthopoulos, who's pulled off some good ones, it's a different set of circumstances to try to go make this team better by the trade deadline.
So you're not, you don't think they can catch Philly? You're just get that wild card, get in care. And see what they do.
Yeah, I can tell you back in February, I went down to Florida and I said, I don't care. It's just another little banner they hand up on a light tower, like in February, that says you won a division. It's a certain color. Could care less. That has not necessarily paid the bills around here with one World Series and one World Series going back to the old days with 14 straight divisions. Nobody's conceding anything, but I don't think anybody really cares at this point because we've seen the way it can be played with Arizona, Texas, and a whole bunch of other teams recently. You don't have to be the best team in baseball to play in the World Series.
What about Chris Sale? What's it been like watching him dominate?
Personality-wise, he's everything you could ask for. I love the fact that he apologized to the Red Sox organization and Red Sox fans because it didn't go well the last few years. This version of him has been a blast to watch. First half Cy Young Award winner. If there's a first half comeback player of the year award winner, he's that as well. Scotty, he's such a different guy on game day. He's got presence. He's never, you know the story with him. He's never shaken off anybody in his life, ever. He's never shaken off a catcher, ever. Because his whole thing is, I want to throw with conviction. Every pitch has to be with 100% conviction. If I think he thinks we're not on the same page, I might throw it at 80%. He doesn't think that's really good for any pitcher to do. This has worked really well for him, and he's obviously healthy again.
Chris Dimino with us from the Fan in Atlanta. Always good to have him on Coast to Coast. The Falcons have Kirk Cousins and some lofty expectations in Hot Town and around the league and with bettors. I mean, they're getting all the action in that South.
Yeah, look, it's hopefully addition by subtraction because for all, I'm not a shot taker. I don't really want to ready, fire, aim on guys who are out of town, but it didn't work with the last head coach who was supposed to be an offensive genius. If this was the play card, this is what it looked like every day on the sideline. Bijan Robinson was non-existent. You certainly didn't do anything to help the quarterback out over the course of the year. So this group being in, including with Zach Robinson, the OC, here's the good news, bad news. It could be so good this year that you lose Zach Robinson. He becomes a head coach someplace else. But I'd love for it to be that because that would mean you're going to the playoffs. And I do think with Kirk Cousins, anything short of that, plus with the new system in, plus a new defensive coordinator, this team should be better than they've been for the last 5 or 6 years.
So everyone down there is stoked that they got Cousins?
Oh, yeah, look, they knew that they needed an upgrade. Desmond Ridder just drove people crazy. He drove the building crazy, too. Nice guy, just wasn't ready. Marcus Mariota a couple of years ago up and quit. It has not worked around here since Matt Ryan's heyday, obviously. Kirk Cousins is a bona fide. He was as good as anybody in the league the first half of the year before he got hurt. This guy smells like 30-10. You go 30-10, Bijan Robinson becoming a factor in this thing the way he wasn't last year. This is a team that, look, the defense isn't great, but they might outscore you 30-24, 28-24, and everybody around here will take that now.
So my Steelers got Art Smith to be their offensive coordinator, and I wanted to jump in the river. What do they think of him down there?
Oh, listen, I didn't want to do this, but Coach Moron. I mean, play sheet guy. This was a disaster. I've never seen a guy get a job because he could do something, and all of a sudden forget about Bijan Robinson, not pimp Kyle Pitts to be a better player. Never really used Drake London. It was amazing around here, Scott. I'm not kidding. Listen, I don't know what he'll be back as an offensive coordinator. He wasn't a guy who on game day could run the whole ship. Guaranteed, because that either was too fast for him. He didn't figure things out in 3 years. How you win NFL games as a head coach, he might be better going back to the OC, but nobody around here is really going to miss what they didn't have, which was an offense that was supposed to be better.
So the Kirby Smart Bulldogs are everyone's feared team in college football, favored to win it all again, favored to win the SEC again. 23 players popped for reckless driving or speeding or causing trouble. I compared it to Dukes of Hazzard on this show and Daisy Dukes and the General Lee. I said, if I lived in Athens, Georgia, I'd drive fast too, and with a whiskey bottle hanging out of the passenger side. What is the season going to be like for them with these expectations that they never lose a game ever?
Yeah, so not making the playoffs last year could end up being a really, if you play that game of you tasted it. A bunch of guys still here have tasted winning. Last year, not being in the playoffs, I'm sure burned them. This is a really good coaching staff. It's a really good recruiting machine. The driving thing has just gotten ridiculous. I'll push that aside for a second. This idea of Texas and Oklahoma coming in with no divisions, people might not know that. There are no divisions down here. Now, some schedules are going to be harder. Some are going to be easier. Oklahoma's already claiming that they got the harder schedule than Texas did. But I think it sets up for 3 teams certainly being in part of the 12. You don't have to win the division. You don't have to win the SEC championship game. No divisions. You can be the 3rd best team in the SEC or lose that game, and still I'm assuming you're going to get in. There are people that have visions of 4 teams being part of the 12-game playoff or 12-team playoff down here, and that's not unreasonable.
Do you think that Ole Miss is the 3rd team or someone else?
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is probably the one. I think LSU's probably got a shot, even though they lose the quarterback.